Hey guys, Sean here, and welcome to the Wednesday Waffle. Not the F1 word, the Wednesday Waffle. How are we all doing? It's been a while since we've done one of these. Hope you're all having a good one. I've got Jonty with me. I'll pop his audio straight on so that he can say hello, and hopefully it's all working okay. But yeah, hope you're all good and ready for a good old, waffle. That's kind of the point of these. How are you today, Jonty, mate? A good week so far? I know it's middle of the week, but...
Yeah, it's not bad. How's chat?
They're here, which is a positive. Always a positive. Who have we got in chat? Let's say hey to Anthony. Hey to Kaori, to Dave, to Michael as well, to Dave the Fish, to Yori, to Neelish too. And I'll do some more shout outs as and when you all say hi and as you arrive. Obviously, a little in the stream yet, so might take a little while to get some people here, but as always with these, nice and relaxed. I do want to talk about Max Verstappen tonight. He is the headline. I'll address it immediately. Yes, of course, he could retire. Anybody could retire, but will he retire? That's going to be the question. Is it all political gamesmanship or whatever? Going to talk about the first of three rules tweaks meetings taking place. First one tomorrow. We'll speculate on that one a little bit, and then we'll take a load of your questions. I've got questions from, I've even written them in a little note. Look at this. I've got questions from Jack, Peter, Red Raven, Luca already. So anybody else out there who's got some questions, get them ready for chat, and we'll come to you throughout. But I will ask you this, John. So you're missing F1? It's been a whole week and 3 days, and the way that F1 admin are talking, you think it had been 6 months.
Not yet, but I am already feeling weird, like we're not gearing up for the next race. It is a bit strange.
I have just realised, 1 second. I have to get used to this. I am on the wrong screen. There we go. I've got a whole new screen. I thought it all looked weird. There we go. I've got a whole new overlay. There we go. It's very similar, but it's sort of more chatty. So there we go. Sorry, everyone. I was going to show that off and everything. I've even put little round corners on the boxes. How good am I? I mean, come on. Photoshop skills. Graphic design is my passion and all that.
You did that?
I did, yeah. Does it look good?
It looks fine.
That's good.
Just making sure.
That's all right, yeah. Yeah, I didn't nick it or ask Lewis to do it. I can't afford to pay Lewis. Thank you to MD Games as well, by the way, for being a member for 1 month. Should we jump into this? Hey to Lewis, to Alfie, to Lee as well, to Davey too. Hope you're all having a good week. I think this weekend is when I'm going to start missing F1 because we should be racing this weekend. So I think that's when it's going to hit. 'Cause it should be Bahrain, but I'm not crying about it just yet. Should we kick off with Verstappen then, Jonty? I know when I floated the idea to you, you gave me quite a short response. I don't know if you want to repeat that or whether you want to go into a bit more depth, but for those who missed it after Japan, Max Verstappen sort of said I've got a whole quote here, I'm not going to read it, that's not what we're doing, but effectively not happy with the rules, which we knew anyway, not happy with the way the direction of sport's going in. He's not having fun, so he's sort of decided that he's assessing his future, considering what he might do at the end of 2026. So when you, I know we sort of touched on it briefly in the race reaction, Jonty, but when you first read his quotes in full, what was your immediate reaction? Bearing in mind, I don't mind swearing, but we'll try and avoid it a little bit if we can.
My honest first reaction was, oh, God, just bugger off and some mardy arse.
Yeah.
But I don't think he will.
No.
Not the first time we've had drivers saying this at all. We've had this for about 60 years. About 60. There's always been a driver that doesn't like the rules changes. Always. Whether they're small, whether they're big, someone always hates it. It's ironic that it's always someone who's suddenly not competing. But yeah, But I still don't think he will, even after all that.
I think we're in
that's just my personal feeling.
That's fine. That's the point of these. But I think we're in two different camps on Verstappen anyway, aren't we? I'm not going to say you don't hate him. That's exaggerated. But you're not his biggest fan. I'm not his biggest. I don't have a tattoo on my back or anything. But I'm quite a big Verstappen fan, so I'm going to always come to his defence to a point. But I think a lot of this is serious with Max because he is the kind of driver that will just say, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm doing. But something he's always been consistent with throughout his whole career is he only wants to be racing wherever it is if he's having fun. And if he's not having fun, he doesn't want to do that anymore. And certainly since winning that first title, he's very much been... I've achieved all I want to achieve now. Everything else is a bonus. If I'm not having a good time, I'm going to go do something else. So I don't think it's an empty threat. I think if he genuinely does not enjoy this anymore and gets to the end of the season and the changes he wants to see aren't made, I think he could go. But at this stage of the season, 3 races in, it seems a little bit premature to be making a statement like that, which is why it feels a little bit more like a pressure play, let's say. Sort of put that pressure on the FIA, put that pressure on F1, put that pressure on Red Bull to give him a car that he's happy with, because I believe him when he says if he was finishing 8th every weekend but having the time of his life, he wouldn't really be that bothered. I do believe that because he's achieved everything he wants to. And prior to his titles, he was driving around and not getting the best results all the time. So I do believe him on that. But I think he would prefer to stay in F1. And obviously, this is just all opinion. I don't, Max isn't sat here telling me what to say. Shut up, Max. But, that it'd be cool if he was. But that's how I kind of, I feel on that. I do believe him when he issues a threat, but I just think with it being so early in the season, this is just a bit more of a political power play. If he'd said this with 5 races to go, I think a lot more people would take it a lot more seriously, if you know what I'm getting at, Jonty.
There could be a bit more to it than that. I mean, the point you make of saying, like, if he was just driving around in 8th and having the time of his life, he'd still be fine. But would he have said that before 2021?
What? When he wasn't winning races every week and was still having fun, and stayed in F1,
yeah,
probably.
It's this thing. I mean, we are not racing drivers. Let's get that in massive, great big letters on the screen. We're not driving Formula One. We don't know what it's like. We don't know exactly what the drivers want. But I find it difficult to put too much into the not having fun argument. Like, take, for example, 2023. Is that fun? I mean, seriously?
Winning every week? Hell yeah.
Yeah, when you're just miles out in front of anyone, you're never having any fights. You just drive. You get to the end first. You get your trophy. That's it. You never see another car on track unless you're lapping it, and then it has to get out of your way. I personally don't think that's not. I personally wouldn't find that fun.
But didn't he say that? Didn't he say as much on the radio? It's boring. Where is everybody? That kind of thing. So he was clearly aware of that. That maybe it wasn't as entertaining as he'd like it to be. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
There is absolute merit to what he's saying, and I believe what he's saying. I don't believe all of the points of his arguments that he's using for it. And this has been the problem all along with the talks about these regs. The fact that people have genuine concerns, they are real concerns, but they use BS arguments to get there. And this is what's causing all of the problem with the discourse around it and around Max and everything. But I suppose that's just the internet.
Oh, yeah. I think we'll get onto the rules in a bit because there is a whole thing that I want to rant about, not rant, but talk about. I'm too old for ranting these days. I'll have my moments. But I just... he has talked in the past, pre-2021, he was talking about having fun and he wasn't winning every week. And he was still enjoying it. But... which is why I do believe the fun argument. If he just said that after Japan and that was the first time he'd ever said it, I'd have gone, all right, Max, whatever. Yeah. But the fact he's consistently said that means that is an important factor for him. But my maybe not quite as blunt response as yours, but my response would be, and this is maybe a bit of life advice as well, sorry to get all preachy, but if you're not enjoying what you're doing, Go and find something that you do enjoy. Just if Max hates it that much and he just doesn't want to do it, then go racing in GT, go do endurance. If he changes his mind on IndyCar, go do that. Whatever you want to do that brings you joy, if you can do it, which Max is in a position he can do it, go and do it. Not everyone can quit a job they hate. They've got to pay the bills. But for someone like Max or Lewis Hamilton or Fernando Alonso, any driver that's spoken out about these, if you're hating it, go do something you enjoy, because life's way too short to be doing something you hate. But again, at this stage of the season, 3 races in, right before a 5-week break, an unexpected 5-week break, when he knows the conversations are happening, it feels more of a power play just to put some pressure. And it's not just about putting pressure on the FIA. He's putting pressure on Red Bull. Hey, I've got this clause in my contract. If I want to go, I can go somewhere else. You need to build me a car that, if it's not the quickest, it's a car I can at least handle. A car that handles well, a car that at least gives me some sort of joy, even if I hate the rules. So there's the pressure there is on Red Bull as well.
I'm not going to say it.
You should say it.
No one in the chat say it. I know what you're all thinking. Build fucking car for combat.
Car for combat? Oh, I get you. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean, he does have that luxury of, go... Well, no, it's not a luxury. You say, like, if you're not enjoying something, go do something else. And you're right about, you got to pay the bills. How much more difficult is it to just say, I'm bored of this, I'm going to go do something else, when it's paying you $50 million a year?
That's true. That's
a
very
lot
true.
harder. But saying that, he's had that for 5 years, so it's not like he needs it.
That was the painful thing with Planet F1 when I was losing my $50 million a year. Yeah, not quite, a little bit less than that. But no, that's a very good point, actually. It's a very good point. But I suppose money in the bank as well, or wherever he stores it, I assume, not under his mattress. I guess it's invested. But yeah, there's a lot. I think there's a lot to this. I don't think this is just... I don't agree that it's just him throwing his toys out of his pram. I think there is something behind all this. I think there's more to it. I think it's very easy on Twitter, or whatever it's called these days, to just go, he's just having a tantrum. I don't agree with that. I think there is more to it. There's an element of that. And I will say as well, while we're live, I'm perfectly happy to come back to this stream in December for Christmas. We'll react to it if you want. I'll clip it out and we'll have this whole moment here where I'm saying, he's not happy. But if he's gone to Mercedes and next year he's probably absolutely loving the new regulations because he's got a car that's dominating, then we can come back to this and go, Sean, you're a knobhead, you were wrong. I'm happy to do that. But as of today, I believe it's more than just having a tantrum and whatnot. Yeah. But it does also, the Mercedes conversation, this is another thing, it puts pressure on Mercedes in a way, because Toto Wolff is going to go, Antonelli's doing a cracking job, despite what some people in the comments said on my video. George Russell is doing a good job, but Max is unhappy, which means that there might be a possibility here, and all of it, there's lots at play here, so we'll see what he does.
Someone say Kimi's not doing a good job. You won 2 out of 3 races.
Yeah, but because of this, basically because of all the points I made in the video, but they had to repeat them in the comments because they don't listen to what's said. Because he got lucky with the safety car in Japan, yes, but why did he get lucky? Because he put himself in that position, what George Russell didn't. He got lucky because George had gearbox problems in China. Yes, he did in the qualifying. You're right, but George still qualified on the front row and was 2/10 off his teammate. Kimi beat him there. So but let's not talk about Australia, where he was only 2.5 seconds behind his teammate over the line, where he obviously clearly had the pace to match him. So the people that think that Kimi Antonelli has just fluked the last 2 races just either don't understand F1 or are just trying to be argumentative, which again comes back to your point earlier, Jonty. The internet. It's what happens.
I mean, the point about this happening just at the start of an unexpected break does lean into something else, that Max knows how to play the media. Even if we can ignore the kicking the journalists out, which was fine, by the way. It wasn't one of the official press conferences and all that. There was a hell of a lot more to it. With it being just like a driver's or Red Bull's own thing. It wasn't the official big broadcast media moment or anything like that. And accounts from several other journalists who were in the room saying that the guy asking the question was being a dick.
He was smirking, is what I've been told. That's confirmed.
Yeah,
he was smirking.
Which was very childish. So to react in kind, I think is pretty fair. Now that I know more about it, yeah, you're gonna be a pissy little bitch. So am I.
If you ask
We'll
a provocative question, smirk while you're doing it, you're lucky he just asks you to leave and doesn't drag you out of there. But at the same time, just to counter on that point, just because I think this is a good point as well, if I do say so myself, Red Bull could have extinguished that over the winter. They could have sat down with the journalist and resolved that without it coming to that point. But it was
they could.
Essentially, it was just an opportunity for. Here he goes. See, I'm going to mention in just a moment. But it was another opportunity for the British media to have a go at Max Verstappen because he's not British and keep attacking him on everything he says and everything he does, just like they used to with Michael Schumacher. It's exactly that.
And Vettel.
Yeah, and Vettel. If he was Max Verstappen-Shirington from Liverpool, they'd all absolutely bloody love him, but they can't stand him because he's not British. It's as simple as that. So there you go.
And Prost. And Senna.
Yeah.
And Lauda. It's been a common thing with the British media for a very long time.
And continues.
More common with Schumacher and Vettel because German. Yes, that is still a factor. It shouldn't be, but it is. What are we, 80 years last year?
8th of the 4th, 2026. Just checking the date there, Jonty, given that that's still an issue.
81 years.
It's been a while. We can move on, I think. Plus, Germans are generally great people anyway. But anyway, that's not all of them.
Yeah, because I mean, on that, it was really surprising to me. Like, I had no idea about how much of a prankster and wind-up merchant Schumacher was until things like YouTube and ITV did go and find lots of clips and what have you during their time broadcasting F1 of Chewie in the press conferences, chasing people with jugs of water and having jokes all the time and messing about. It really was almost annoying.
Didn't he?
Like it really.
Didn't he?
That we didn't get to see that.
A bit dramatic, but didn't he smash a birthday cake in Gerhard Berger's face as well at one point? Or was that Senna? I seem to remember seeing a video of that. So
one of them. Yeah, and there was stuff like that going on all the time with various other drivers that you just only hear about in older guys who are out of the sport or coming in to guest as a pundit and what have you, or interviews like Beyond the Grid, things like that you actually hear about these stories, and it pisses me off because that's fantastic TV coverage. I mean, there's one a long time ago about I think it was between PK and Senna or PK and Prost, because PK kept making jokes about Prost's crooked nose, so Prost superglued, or it might have been Senna, and then so Prost superglued his very, very expensive, like top-end shoes on the side of the truck. These hundreds of dollars shoes in the 80s.
Anthony said the media are 75% to blame. They're no quoting and will get clicks. It's not like he's asking for interviews. That's a very good point, actually, Anthony. That's an excellent point. And it comes to something I'm going to moan about later because it's a question from Jack I want to come to. But that's a brilliant point. We're going into a 5-week break. Who's going to get you clicks? Stories about, no disrespect, Valtteri Bottas, or clickbait about Max Verstappen? I'm not clickbaiting today. I want to have this conversation, and having it with Jonty is the best way to do it because we have differing views on Verstappen. There's no point having two people who agree on everything. So that's why I wanted to do it, and this channel is going to become largely live stream, which it kind of is anyway, but whatever. So I wanted to have the conversation today. But you'll notice there's a lot of, Damon Hill's come out and said, it's essentially what we said earlier. If you don't want to be here, just go. But then all your clickbait rags have gone, quick twist that into something he's not. And Damon Hill hates Max Verstappen. And he's, fuck off. Go away. I can't. It's one of the reasons why this channel and any channel I ever do will never blow up to the millions of subscribers because I won't engage in the clickbait bollocks. You'll get an honest opinion and you'll get honest conversations that I want to have. And if that conversation is 2, 3, 4 weeks out of date, tough. That's a conversation I want to have. So that's why ultimately this will probably end up being a little side thing rather than a job before much longer. But hey ho. I'd also rather see him say what he thinks than just PR save answers, says Yori. Exactly, that's why I miss K-Mag. Davey says it's possible he retires. Let's have a look at what you're saying a bit more recently. They were right towards the start. Rai says, hi, Sean and Jonty, just joining now. If he doesn't go this season, he certainly seems to be getting his ducks in a row to leave soon. Hey, mate, hope you well. I think that you've got a good point there, actually. Lewis says, if he keeps mouthing off, he's gone anyway. The F1 still has its politics at the end of the day. There's a lot of people with a lot of money invested who won't be happy with his comments. Yeah, but they're taking all their feedback from bots on X, or Twitter. No, it's Twitter. I won't call it X. I refuse. It's Twitter. In fact, that's one of the quotes I had from earlier from the other day. F1 saying that the feedback they've had on these rules is positive, but then you read the feedback and it's all from accounts that are just copying what they say in tweet and are basically just bots. So if that's their level, then that's absolutely fine. But you mate, it's a good point. Alfie says, I think it takes a good few years for a top driver to enjoy racing mid-pack again after a period of dominance. That's fair. Neelish says maybe once he gets a couple of more starts and actually starts winning, starts battling his peers instead of back markers while coming from the back, he'd be less unhappy. That's a good point. He's had a couple of shocking starts, hasn't he, which have put him behind cars he shouldn't be racing. And then if you're in a car that's 2 seconds a lap quicker than the car you're trying to overtake, and then you've got let's say the extra boost because they've run out of power, it probably is quite bloody boring in the end. But
in Australia, he was likely to qualify about 5th or 6th.
Yeah,
and then his car just went nope, and that sort of ruined his whole weekend. So yeah, there is merit there.
Sam Chats Motorsport says, hey guys, hope you're well. Been a big fan of yours. Thank you very much, mate. Hope you're well. So I say Max walks after 27 to go fully into his GT3 team. I mean, let's bring it to that then. So, I mean, if he doesn't go this year, do you think there's an element of maybe he sticks around just to see what the future rules set is going to be? So if F1 tweak it well enough this year that he can just about bear it, and then they say, look, next year we're going to make some more tweaks, but ultimately it's this, but in 2029 we're going to V12s or whatever, going back to good old days or whatever you want to call them, then he might go, okay, well, I can endure this for a couple of years if it means that we're going back to something I'm probably going to enjoy, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. But on that note, you have to think that this is Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
If the regs do change to something that he's super excited about and wants to come back, I think there's 8 teams on the grid who will kick out either or both of their drivers to get him.
Yeah.
On the spot. With the exceptions of Mercedes, Ferrari, and 9 teams.
I'm not sure about Mercedes. I don't think Ferrari would.
Ferrari wouldn't. Mercedes probably would, actually.
I think Mercedes would.
But everyone else, they would absolutely kick their drivers out for a chance to get him back if he wanted to come back.
I'm not saying George has
McLaren with Alonso.
I can see Verstappen and Antonelli at the same team.
Look at Alpine. Look at Alpine after Alonso had a year out. The end of his McLaren period.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were like, oh, we can get him. Sign us up.
I was reading comments while I've lost where we were now. I've scrolled too far. Max invested all in Hot Wheels, says Lewis. Probably, I wouldn't blame him. Is it irony that Russell fans are crediting the safety car for Kimi's wins? Question mark. Yeah, a little bit. George does nothing P3. Shumi was wild. Did Senna throw Berger's suitcase out of a plane or something? He says, Rye. DTS would have loved that, says Kaori. Kevin, Kevin's here. Now Kevin has 2 great passions at the moment: the current rules set and the Constructors' Championship. He loves them both, and he's not afraid to say it. Sure, what are you wearing? No wonder Ferrari isn't winning. You aren't living in your Ferrari swag. No, I've stopped. I'm just wearing normal boring t-shirts now because I was really sick of people thinking that I was backing Mercedes breaking the rules because I was wearing a Mercedes t-shirt rather than just I liked it. Ferrari replaced Carlos with Lewis. They would do likewise with Max. And if Max wanted to go to Ferrari, they would say goodbye to Lewis, says Kevin. Here's one for you. Quickly. Let's say Max Verstappen leaves Red Bull. Red Bull probably looking at Leclerc as the guy that comes in to replace him if they wanted to. Leclerc goes to Red Bull to replace Verstappen, and Ferrari goes to Max goes to Ferrari to partner Lewis Hamilton. I think I'd pay money to see that. I am doing it. It's called Sky.
Yeah, Max and Lewis as teammates at Ferrari. That could be one of the greatest things we could ever see. My God, you think 2016 got better? That would be a knife fight the entire season.
I'd have that. I'd be quite happy with that.
Especially if they had like a championship contending car. It will never happen.
Oh God, no! Oh no.
I'm 99% certain it won't happen. You can never say never, but wow, that would be absolutely astonishing.
Imagine the team radio. They'd have to get into car radio so they could talk to each other just to slag off the mechanics while engineers are so useless.
They should have that anyway. Stuart's agreed with me on this. Had this thought for a long time as well. Intercar radio would be absolutely outstanding. Get out of the way! There could be so many funny comments, but also it would give that chance of real team play. Like, right, stick behind. I'm going to give you the toe, and then next straight you give me, actually working together, like for a midfield team. That could genuinely be awesome, but I've talked about that for a long time. And it's annoying how many teams are right on the cusp and don't. Like, yes, your drivers want to get the most because they're racing drivers. But if you just play nice, you both get more. It's like that stupid sort of paradox riddle thing that people have been going on about. Like, you got $1,000 in a box and a mystery box. And the mystery box could have $1 million, but it's like an AI deciding, trying to predict what you're going to take. And if it gets it right, you get nothing. It's just stupid. Everyone's always going to take the $1 million. Like, everyone take what's best. I'm rambling on now.
Or punch the guy who's asking you, steal both boxes and leg it.
Yeah.
That's one option for you right there. Violence is never the answer. It sometimes can be.
It's an answer.
It's an answer. It's not always the right answer, but it is an answer. I wanted to just read this last part of this quote before we wrap up on the Verstappen stuff, and then we'll get onto the rules, and then we'll get onto lots of Q&A. But he said, "I want to be here to have fun and have a great time and enjoy myself. At the moment, that's not really the case. Of course, I do enjoy certain aspects. I enjoy working with my team. It's like a second family. But once I sit in the car, it's not the most enjoyable, unfortunately. I'm trying. I keep telling myself every day to try and enjoy it. It's just very hard. Leave it." But I think in that quote there, the reason I've highlighted it is because that sounds like a man who is willing to walk away if he's not happy, but doesn't want to. It's I keep telling myself every day to try and enjoy it. He clearly doesn't want to leave F1. So I think this whole debate about whether he will retire or not is a valid conversation, but I think ultimately he's going to try and encourage his team, the FIA F1, to do everything they can to improve these rules so he can enjoy them, so that he can stick around, rather than actually, as I said earlier, throwing his toys out and running away. Because if he wasn't happy or didn't want to be there at all, then he wouldn't even think about trying to convince himself, really.
Yeah, it's just tricky.
Trying to read between the lines, isn't it, with Max Verstappen? He's probably one of the hardest drivers to do it with, I think.
And like I said earlier, very much like Lewis, but in a different way, he knows how to play the media. He knows that he can say something like that, sit back and just watch all of the drama unfold. And he's probably chuckling about it. He's probably like, he'll probably be sat at home now, just like, go on Twitter for a bit.
Possibly.
Just laughing to himself at the absolute insanity that he's causing.
Sending screenshots
And
to Lando Norris.
I do think that's the kind of thing that he would enjoy. You've seen him be a wind-up merchant, especially on Twitch with Lando. He's definitely one who can play a prank and enjoy people getting wound up.
Yeah, maybe.
And if I was in his position, I would as well. I really would.
Let's take some more comments, then I'll wrap up the poll. I'll throw the question at Jonty one last time, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Max Verstappen, and we'll move on to the rules. But thank you to Lyle, member for 3 months, and obviously for even longer over on to the channel. So appreciate your support as always, mate. It says, should FIA run for the new regulations before they drive off viewership? If you want hybrid V12, V10s, or V8 hybrids, no DRS, I'd be for refueling too, I think that's supposed to say. Thank you, Lyle. We'll come back to the regs in a bit, but I'll try and remember to come back to your questions as well, but appreciate your support. Max is more mature, says Anthony. They were talking about how both drivers are more mature these days, Hamilton and Verstappen, than say 5 years ago. Rocket Raccoon, try to remember your real names, says, Sean and Jonty, hope you two studs are doing good today. Thanks. I'm late, but I'm here. Love from Houston as always. Thank you very much, mate. Good to see you. Hope you're having a good week so far. Studs. I've been called a few things in my time, but studs is not one of them. That may not surprise, but there you go.
Not for 25 years.
Latok says, why should it drive off viewership? The races are fun, loads of action. The guys unhappy with it are just a very loud minority. Leclerc even said best racing and fun he had in years. We'll come to that in a second. Kevin says the races are awesome. Is that how you spell awesome? S-U-C-K? I think it is. Zach, hey Zach, says, I think if the Max Alonso Vettel Le Mans run had a real opportunity, Max would jump at that over any current F1 race. Oh, yes, please. And the races haven't been great. Max has built a loyal fan base of young fans who show up to watch him, says Anthony. So I've already asked you in your poll, so I'm going to end the poll now. You can pop yes or no in the chat if you like, just to confirm your position. As of today, Jonty, the 8th of April, with a long way to go this season, in your guts, do you think Max Verstappen will still be in F1 next season?
Yeah.
With Red Bull?
But, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will say, from my personal standpoint, I 100% want him to go. Not because I don't like him, because that would mean we get him full-time in GT3 cars and possibly even GTP, hypercar, and that would be fantastic. I want to see Max Verstappen at Daytona and Sebring and Le Mans fighting with Bamber and Engel and Tandy and Van der Zande. Give me that. Yes.
He's already said he doesn't fancy IndyCar, hasn't he? But do you think... Oh, you got Fernando Alonso, so maybe not. But do you think he's the closest we've been to a while for someone who might think, fuck it, and go for the Triple Crown? I can't see him in IndyCar.
100% got the capability.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is that people hear IndyCar and I'd say more than 3/4 of the people who don't watch it and aren't that familiar with it hear IndyCar and think, oh, it's just ovals.
Yeah.
When it's not. I think there are 4, maybe 3 ovals this season. All the rest is street and permanent courses. And Max would kick ass in that. I always said Danny Rick would have kicked ass because it's a spec series, because they're so good on the brakes. And it's, a more traditional engine. There's hardly, battery has come in, but there's hardly anything there. Max would do so well. And his driving style would make for some fantastic battles, especially against the likes of McLaughlin and Palou and O'Ward. It would be fantastic to watch.
And it's fantastic anyway. If you've not...
Well, yeah, it is.
So throw in a Max Verstappen as well, it'd be great. But I think he has said previously, and maybe it is the ovals thing, I don't know. Maybe it might be something when he's a couple of years' time or a bit further down the line, he might want to. He's still only 28, 29?
Yeah, he's got 10,
plenty of time.
At least 10 years. If he goes fully into endurance racing, 15 to 20 years of a career left.
Yeah. I mean, Martin Brundle
God,
still
it was
races
only
his times, doesn't he? So
It was only a few years ago, possibly 2019 Le Mans, where K-Mag raced in the same team as his dad. They raced together in the same car at Le Mans. I think 2019 was the last one. Can't remember.
J-Mag and K-Mag.
Yeah, and as someone said, I don't know if I'm getting the right names, but Zach, Max, Alonso, Vettel in the same car at Le Mans. Can you imagine?
It'd be brilliant.
That would just be awesome to watch.
You're getting a great driver, whatever, aren't you? All day, all night. That'd be great. My thoughts very quickly. I kind of going to repeat myself, I guess, but I think he will stick around. I think F1 will do, or the FIA, sorry, not F1, the FIA will do enough to keep him interested and willing to stick with it. I'm a little bit 50-50, maybe not completely 50-50, but whether it be at Red Bull or not. And I think a lot of that is going to come down to less about the rules and more about where he could go. Because there's no point leaving Red Bull at the end of this year to go to Alpine. There's no point leaving Red Bull at the end of this year to go further down the grid. You're going to want a seat at Mercedes or Ferrari, or if they improve or perform like they did in Suzuka, maybe McLaren, and they might not have seats available. So he might be Red Bull through necessity rather than choice. But also, I will say on Red Bull, we've seen before, I know it's a bit different because they are building their own engine with a lot of Honda personnel there, I know, and Ford input, but they are effectively building their own engine for the first time. But we've seen Red Bull struggle before and turn it around quite quickly. So it's possible that they get their act together and he decides to stay, but we'll see. But I think he'll stay. 47% of you, though, say, do you think Max will retire at the end of 2026 if the rules aren't tweaked or changed to his liking? 47% of you say yes. 29% say no. 24% say not sure. What I would end on is saying that I think it's more of a possibility than it has been at any time in his F1 career, and not just because he's older than he was 10 years ago, because that's stupid, but you know what I mean.
Also, one other point on the positive of where could he go if there was a team change to happen. It's something else adding weight to Mercedes. GT3 cars, Mercedes.
True, yeah.
There's already a link there, and I'm sure as a company, from the marketing standpoint and the weight he already carries, they'd be pretty happy with that. From the marketing clicks and association, they're going to make a hell of a lot more out of him than they are out of George. I'm not being nasty to George, no. He's not exactly the most easy to market guy, is he? And that is a massive concern for Formula One. But there is another option. This is a bit out there. All right, but you look at brand new team coming in with their own power unit. Well, rebranded team, but with their own power unit coming straight in and doing what they're doing. Audi?
Maybe.
It's an astonishingly strong start. Who knows what they're going to do for the rest of the year?
Do you want me
that
to go
could be tempting. You can see something improving that quick from such a good start that early. That could be a tempting thing to see, the trajectory of where it's going. It's very unlikely.
A little bit tongue-in-cheek with this, but one even further out there choice. He's worked with Honda before. Aston have got Newey, who he worked very well with. And if Fernando Alonso were to retire at the end of this year, that Aston Martin will be the best car on the grid next season. So that's where he needs to be.
For certain.
Oh, poor Fernando. But yeah, so that's where we are, really. But, I mean, it's plenty of options. But I think if his choices are Aston Martin and Red Bull next year, he'll stay where he is. I don't think he'll take the risk on Aston just yet. If he's not happy now, he's not going to be happy vibrating at that speed, is he? So,
and who knows? They've got 5 weeks. Maybe Aston will win in Miami.
Maybe. Although I did read something on the race. There'll be a lot about the race in a minute, but I read on the race that they are not expecting, even with the old, what's it called? ADUO, is it? ADUO, yeah. They're not expecting any updates to the Honda really until or this side of the summer break. So that's a report. That's a timeline they've put out there. So I don't know how much you can read into that. They might turn up with a humdinger in Miami and, like John said, win it. But we'll see.
I can't remember what that stands for. It's a painful acronym.
Oh, it's the
additional development and upgrade opportunities.
Yeah. Jinx. Yeah. Look, I could give them a simpler name for it. I wrote this down because I started typing just to put some notes in, then I went on a massive rant for some reason to myself. It's the rewarding mediocrity thing. So it's the you fucked up, never mind, here's some lovely help. That's basically what it is. Yeah, it's whatevs. But let's talk about the rules meeting that is taking place tomorrow.
It's the strategic help for inferior teams.
Yes, I like that. But yeah, we're on rules now, so we might as well go for it. So I've got a lot of notes, and I'm going to read some of them. I won't read them all, but this is just for reference if I need to. But the first of 3 meetings is taking place tomorrow. The first one is tomorrow, the 9th. The second is the 16th. The third is, I believe, the 20th. It is indeed. So all the teams, the 5 engine manufacturers, the FIA and F1 will meet for the Technical Advisory Committee, TAC, to discuss what they want to do with tweaking these rules going forward. And according to the race, the 3 areas they want to look at are safety following Behrman-Suzuka crash, saving the misery, that's my word, that is qualifying, and the speed drop-off that comes at the end of straights when cars run out of battery, which I suppose you could maybe stick into the Behrman-Suzuka thing as well, safety. But it's expected that the changes stemming from the TAC will leave the race action largely unaltered. So this is, what you see on a Sunday is what you've got.
Yeah, right.
And the first 2 meetings are going to be about exploring and debating options, weighing up potential solutions before actually putting any proposals or developed ideas to a third meeting, which will be F1 team principals, senior figures, and everyone involved to vote on whether or not these changes are going to get pushed through. If the changes are agreed upon, it will give teams time to then adjust their cars for Miami, and they would come into force from Miami. Here's the problem for me, though, Jonty. You might see where I'm going with this. Miami's a sprint weekend. Major change or tweaks to the regulations and 1 practice session. So whoever thought that was a good idea is nuts. I'm just thinking from a getting everything ready point of view. I think that's absolutely madness. But I guess, like you say, from a viewer's point of view, it's going to cause chaos, isn't it? So maybe that's great. But
it's fantastic. It's a fantastic idea. Give us the pure chaos. I mean, it's no different to what Lindblad had to put up with in China, the poor guy.
True, yeah.
Did installation and half a lap and his car broke down at a track he's never driven on sprint weekend. That was his practice. Frankly, he's not getting enough credit for the performance he did put in. No, I'm all for that.
Oh, I don't know.
The problem I've got is that you've got the first meeting is happening tomorrow. And enough time for it to happen, for changes to be made for Miami. We're already 2 weeks into that 5-week break.
Yeah. What?
Time go quick.
I guess one saving grace, though, I suppose, thinking about it, is if they tweak them for Miami and they're still a disaster, it's 3 weeks till Canada. So they've got another little window to tweak things if they need to. So,
yeah.
It's
like,
could work.
In the race reaction for Japan, both me, you, and chat came up with about 7 different options that they could do. I'm absolutely certain that just coming up with those suggestions to talk about did not take 10 days.
No.
Like, what are they doing? This is the part of the FIA that always gets me annoyed. He's going to go on about safety again.
I'll go and lie down.
They can appear to be reacting quickly on the surface. but then the actual work usually takes them so bloody long. It's pointless. I go back to the Halo. It's like it took them 9 years. 9 years to make a T-sheet piece of bloody titanium. That does not take 9 years. With the best will in the world and all the relevant testing and fitting to the cars, that should have been done in one. And like this, they're going to have this meeting tomorrow and go through all the options and go, oh, well, we'll evaluate what's been said. And then it'll be another week. And then I'll have people presumably writing code for the engine management system and this, that, and the other. And that'll be another week. And then you're in Miami. So you are going to have them scrambling to implement these changes. And unfortunately, the options they've got are incredibly limited. The realistic ones. So I've seen lots of things of people going on about bigger battery. Not possible. Fuel flow, boost. Tiny bit possible.
I have the 6 possibilities, if you want to hear them.
Yeah.
Again, according to the race, six solutions to be discussed are to increase
You keep
super
talking,
clipping.
I'm just going to check on my partner.
That's all right. To increase super clipping power, so increase how much power can be harvested when super clipping so that drivers harvest energy at full throttle. More of it, basically. Idea is that if it was increased to 350 kilowatts from the 250, it'd be the same as lift and coast, and that would be preferred route and would mean less prevalence on the lifting and coasting. Slowing the cars down, which I agree, sounds counterintuitive, but it means that drivers are going to drive slower cars harder and be able to drive them harder rather than the cars they've got now. They also want to look at stricter recharge limits. So it's currently 9 megajoules a lap. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. That dropped to 8, didn't it, in Suzuka briefly? And then there's talk of pushing this back to 6 to make it easier for the drivers to hit the recharge limit and avoid the need to lift quite so much with, lifting and coasting and super clipping. Active aero everywhere. Expand the use of straight mode or even remove zones completely. A bit like the initial DRS days, if you remember, if you were watching back then, where you could use it everywhere in qualifying and then they just have the zones. But they're talking about removing straight mode restrictions, which would reduce drag and make the cars quicker. It helps to increase how far battery energy can go. They're also at engine changes, so the possibility that rather than having the current... It's supposed to be 50-50, but I think the race it was 50-50, 55-45, 400 from the ICE, 350 from the battery. And they could look to change the ratio by lifting the fuel flow limits. Unlikely to happen anytime soon, by the way, that one. And they're also at simplifying the rules, which will be on the table in the meetings, but won't be something that's pushed through until next year, because as the race put it, they want to get rid of some of the complexities in the rule book, such as the thresholds we've already talked about, and that will go a long way to putting some control back in the hands of the drivers. So they're kind of the 6 things on the table: increase super clipping, slow the cars down, stricter recharge limits, active aero everywhere, which I know Jonty's a big fan of, engine changes as well, and then the simpler rules longer term. So one thing I will add is where it says would go a long way to putting some control back in the hands of the drivers, I've got to say it's absolute bullshit in any kind of regulation set that Lando Norris is coming out saying effectively, I didn't want to overtake Lewis Hamilton, but I had to because I had no control because the algorithm said it wanted to do it or whatever. That's the very basic terms. But essentially, he said, it's just my battery deploys. I don't want it to deploy, but I can't control it. So I overtake him and then I have no battery. So he just flies past me on the next straight. This is not racing. This is yo-yoing. And I've cherry-picked some other quotes. The driver should be in control of it at the least, but we're not. And then he added that the problem is the battery deploys into 130R. I have to lift, otherwise I'll drive into him, and I'm not allowed to go back on throttle. If I go on throttle, my battery deploys, and I don't want it to deploy because it should have come. But because you lift, you have to get back on the throttle. It redeploys. There's nothing I can do about it. So there's just not enough control for a driver, and that's why you're just too much at the mercy of what's behind you. It's just not how it should be. Drivers should be completely in control of those situations, because that, I know computers and spreadsheets and algorithms have done a lot of stuff in F1 for many years, but in that moment that should be the driver's decision, not some coding. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. And I am 100% on board with it should be driver control. It really should just people go on about, oh, the boost button, but it should actually be a button. Like, it should be a KERS button.
A push to
because
pass.
then it's 100% on the driver. They can use it to pass. They can use it to defend when they want. And it's a lot more predictable for drivers to respond to any potential speed differences because they're going to know. And they've got those lights on the back that can be multicolours. Make it a different colour to show when they're pressing the button for safety. Like, oh, the light's not on. I'm going to have a much bigger speed differential. Really easy.
Yeah.
Really, really easy.
Rather than 1 flash, 2 flash, 3 flash.
Yeah. When you made the quote about active error everywhere, and I love that. Did you see my? Did you see my RC comment on the races video?
No, but I got your RC comment in WhatsApp. I'm gonna go find it.
No, I watched the races video on that, and they're making the point about using the active error everywhere, and they're strongly using the safety side to push their V10's agenda, which they're never going to let go of, even though it's never going to happen. And in the video, they're saying about, using the active error everywhere would be a great result, and the drivers could even use it at, fast places like 130R.
Eau Rouge and Radion.
Like, you're coming at this from a safety angle, and then you're saying, let the cars go through 130R with 40% less downforce at full speed. What's the stupidest suggestion I've ever heard? Like, my God.
You can't have DRS through the tunnel in Monaco, but you can have active aero through 130R and up Eau Rouge and Radion.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm not totally against it. There are places when it would be fine. There's a lot of places where it would be fine. The madness of Formula One lists them as corners when they're absolutely not corners.
Turn 2 at Austria.
But there's some that really... yeah. Go around turn 2. Well, it's nothing. Although I have hot takes on Austria as well. That's the point I was making earlier about, using BS to further your argument. Like, you've got a real point here. Stick to the realities of the point. Don't make up nonsense that contradicts yourself.
Yeah.
And from all the things they've suggested, I don't even think they directly suggested it, but just it's the only realistic option is reducing the rate of deployment. Like, it's that simple. Just they have cars, do their installation lap in practice. Oh, right. The battery, it takes this amount of time to get to the end of this straight, the longest straight. There you go. Now we set the deployment so that the battery must have 1% remaining at the breaking point. Problem solved. That solves qualifying, and it solves the safety issues with closing speeds. Job done.
They've talked about deployment, because under the slow them down thing, they've said that they want to, the option is to cut back on the 350 kilowatt maximum deployment, because by burning less power, the available energy in the battery will last longer.
Yeah.
So they have sort of touched on it, but not to that point.
Yeah. And I get that it's difficult. They need to have things written down in regulations. They need to have set numbers so that everyone can look at it and go, oh, look, regulations say this, they did more. And they just, it needs to be variable. It absolutely needs to be variable. I mean, it's probably a pretty wild attempt at a comparison, but like things like drills that you use, there's a reason that the trigger has become variable. Go back 50 years, it was on or off, maximum speed or nothing. You need that control for different situations. The drivers need that too. And if they change the rate of deployment to suit the track, the driver should be able to work with that properly. It's just so simple and complicated
Yeah.
at the same time, which is such a problem.
I don't envy the FIA at all having to try to fix this or whatever, but it's all. I mean, I'll read the numbers again just because I flew through it quite quickly. But on the super clipping, they're currently limited to 250 kilowatts when doing that, and then and that's compared to 350 kilowatts that is available from Lift and Coast. So if they were to increase super clipping to the same 350 as Lift and Coast, that would become the preferred route for teams because that would reduce the prevalence of Lift and Coast. By cutting back on the 350 kilowatt maximum deployment ability, there's an option there for slowing them down, which could improve quali. That's an option. The stricter recharge limit's currently 9 megajoules per lap. Talking of pulling that back further to 6 megajoules per lap. Engine changes, currently roughly 55-45. 400 kilowatts coming from the ICE, 350 coming from the battery, so they could change that ratio by lifting the fuel flow limits. I read through it all, and I get halfway, and I just go... Just stick a fucking V8 in the back of it and let's go racing, for God's sake. And I know that's not going to happen, and I know that's the old roast into spectacles, and I know that's the view that a lot of people are taking. I don't mean that in a not thinking, not like on social media, put a V10 in it, let's go, because that could happen tomorrow. We've got these rules for at least the next 2 years, so we need the FIA to make them workable. So I know that's not an actual solution, but you get halfway through. I can understand why so many people do just jump to the V8, the V10, or even going back to last year's engines, because by the time you start reading through all of this, you just go, oh, this is ridiculous, just forget it.
Yeah.
But you have to, I think you do need to have somewhat of an open, Kevin's here, so he won't agree, but somewhat of an open mind, and then just look at it and say, look, like I say, we're stuck with these for 2, 3, 4, 5 years maybe. We need to hope the FIA can fix them, to certainly fix qualifying, because I don't care. I'm happy to die on this hill. I don't care what anyone says. Qualifying sucks now. It really does.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's so bad. And I know there is the conversation about trade-off, but I'd be selfish maybe, but I want both. Great racing and great qualifying.
Yeah. And Anthony made the point in chat earlier. It's like, what are we going to watch in Monaco when qualifying's bad?
True. And they've got rid of the mandatory 2 stops, haven't they?
I don't think it will actually affect qualifying much in Monaco because of the nature of the track. I mean, they can barely go full throttle for more than 6 or 7 seconds anyway. But there's still that concern that it's going to.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem with being stuck with this is, as Britain, is that Flying Tiger?
Flying Tiger it is, yeah.
Yeah. Too invested. It's the money investment that's gone into this. They can't just bin it because the likes of Audi and Cadillac would just go, no. Bye.
Good. No, seriously, I'm not even joking.
Probably Honda and some others, because when they've stuck so much money into it, they can't just wipe that.
I get that, but I said this in testing. I hate the fact that these rules are built because the FIA and F1 were twerking for Cadillac and Audi. The rules should be written by the FIA. Here is what our formula is. Do you want to join? No, thanks. Okay, thanks for your interest. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be dictated by, particularly not by manufacturers that aren't even in the sport, throwing their weight around. That shouldn't be how it goes. I know the importance of manufacturers in motorsport, but a lot of F1's character has been lost with the loss of privateer teams. So if we lost some big manufacturers who are all PR and sponsorship, and we got another Tyrrell or something like that in its place, unlikely given the cost of F1, then I think that's a good thing. But if Audi and Honda and that had said we're leaving, and then the FIA said, well, here are our rules, and they said we're still going, then you let them go, or you tell them not to join. That's up to them. Somebody else will. There's plenty of manufacturers out there that do want to go racing with proper engines. You know what I mean by that. So I can't. Again, I'm not stupid. I've been watching for over 3 decades. I know the importance of manufacturers. I know F1 and the FIA will always prefer manufacturers to a privateer team or something like that, and the more the merrier for them. But from a fan's perspective, again, the rules should be written by the FIA. This is our formula. Would you like to join? Yes, please. Brilliant. Welcome. Do you want to join? No, thanks. Cool. Piss off and go do something else then. We'll find somebody else. But I know that's never going to happen. So that's just me chuntering on a Wednesday at 8 p.m. Sort of thing I talk to myself about in the shower, you know. It's as simple as that. There's an image you didn't need. But yeah, no, that's my view. That's my view. It's a bit maybe old school. I don't know, but
I do wonder how much more interest they could have got if they had gone back to just to a regular engine without a hybrid element. You know, would there have been other manufacturers like, oh, actually, if you're going back to that, then we're interested.
Yeah.
You know, one's known for V8s, you know, Chevy for a start. I know they're heavily invested in IndyCar, but Chevy makes a mean V8. And without a hybrid system, they'd have been, I think they could have been more interested than Cadillac are. And plenty of other companies. I mean, for ages we had Porsche interested, and there was too much in the development of the hybrid that put them off.
Yeah.
And as Hatbrush says, a lot of the teams didn't want the front axle regen because Audi had too much experience in endurance from it. It's coming back to bite them a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's because I know that there was talk, you know, oh, what if we lose some of the manufacturers we have? What, like Ferrari, who threatened to quit every 5 years and still here? What, Mercedes, who, even if they left as a team, would probably still provide power units to, or engines to a point, because they're a huge part of F1 and F1's a huge part of them. So I know Mercedes do a lot elsewhere as well, and so do Ferrari. But, you know, I just don't think it's, like you said, there's plenty of other people in there that would come in, and maybe. And I keep banging this drum and people get sick of it because I know it's never going to happen because Cosworth isn't going to happen. But something like a Cosworth, an independent engine supplier, is more likely to supply teams with a V8 than what we've got now. So you'd have other options to power the sport without having to worry about Audi not turning up. And Audi, by the way, while I'm at it, who will piss off in so many years' time because they've got what they wanted from it. But Moray, by the way, in chat, absolutely agree. Says F1 needs to stop bending like it's a niche sport. It's a popular sport now, and that itself should be enough to attract manufacturers. Exactly. The money in F1 now, you think sponsors are pouring in to the point where liveries look ridiculous on some teams, and they're like a spreadsheet, just names of sponsors everywhere all over their bloody cars. But then you've got such a huge fan base for the sport, and things like Love It or Loathe It, Drive to Survive, that brings people in, and the way it's televised now, and the content on social media and YouTube and all of that. Plenty of reasons for manufacturers to be involved other than just, I want my engine to do this specific thing. But that's my first of probably another rant. There's another one I've got written down here that I don't want to get into, but I might have to.
Yeah, we have got very ranty. But it is, I mean, there is a lot of it that's what we would like, but we're fans of a thing. We're allowed to talk about what we want.
Yeah.
We're allowed to get annoyed if the thing that we like goes bad.
I think that's why chat are here. I think if we were just doing one of those, and this is not a dig, I respect them for doing what they want to do. If it was just one of those three people sat on the screen going, oh, yes, I was talking in the paddock yesterday to my secret source who I won't tell you about, that Max Verstappen actually has 3 legs. But I'm not going to tell you how I know that because that would be disgusting. It's none of your business. You know, I just... I want to talk about F1. I don't think... the Hatprust is right, F1 is niche, but I don't think it's as niche as it was. It's certainly not as niche as it was when I was at school, which I appreciate was a million years ago. No. But it's still niche to a point, but it's not niche like it was. I actually have family members now who watch it who never used to watch it. So and that's a really crap example.
It's actually, I would say it's not that niche now.
It is compared to something like football, for example, but
at the same time, if you had a pointless questions, asked 100 people to name a kind of motorsport, 99 of them are going to say Formula One.
Yeah. And 1% will be you going, Mazda MX-5s, actually.
Yeah, because it's the best racing in the world.
Cheese rolling is a niche sport. but
psychotic.
I'm not sure how to take it from Letox. I think he's agree with the point I've made in the previous video. He says Sean was right in one of his videos. He is too much on Twitter in a bubble. He got back to negativity. It's not that I've gone back to negativity. This has been my view consistently since the rules were announced. That I didn't trust them. I didn't like them, or I was skeptical of them. And then we got into testing, and it was I still skeptical. And even though there were aspects of the Sunday stuff that was fun to watch, I still wasn't 100%. So I've not gone back to negativity at all. I'm exactly consistently with where I've been throughout this whole thing. I just have 3 races of evidence now to be able to say I was right to have my concerns. And now we've had those 3 races, I can come onto a stream and say this is where I'm at. So again, there were aspects of I'm sorry, I should read the comment rather than just arguing, but Latok says, yes, I know, but you have been more positive after the first races. I was positive in the sense that there are elements there that I think there is, what's the word I'm looking for? There's potential there. There's something there on a Sunday that if things are tweaked and qualifying is sorted because it's crap, then there is potentially something here that could work very well, but it doesn't work in its current guise. So that's not positive and it's not negative would be my argument there. It's not fence sitting. It's looking at the 3 races we've had compared to where I was 6 months ago with these rules and say, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought, but it's still not great. So it's kind of hard to explain. Like after Australia, people thought that I was saying the rules were a rip-roaring success because I said in the preview to China that the rules in Australia were better than expected. But given that they were expected to be absolute dog shit and they were just a bit shit, that's better than expected. So objectively, they were, whether you agree with the rules or not. So again, I'm not screaming and saying that's positive. And
you expect shit, you can never be disappointed.
Exactly. But
and to be fair, I mean, if you go back to when these were very first announced, in race reactions or testing assorted the odd midweek streams, what have you, when I think we did do one when the first details started to come out, we're saying that I don't like it. I don't understand it outside of the money attract manufacturer. Because other than that, they don't make sense.
No.
Like, why are you going to 50-50 and 100% sustainable fuel? That doesn't make sense. It really doesn't to me. I mean, that could be part of my diverse brain, but whatever.
I don't think either that I or we have been focused only on the negatives in this stream. I think we've gone through the 6 potential solutions, the active aero being partially ridiculous, partially brilliant, and the potential for what they might come up with tomorrow and next week, and said several times that we just want to see them get this right because we're fans of F1 and actually, while I'm sort of not ranting, I'm not ranting at the talks at all, but it's one of the things that was said after Japan, I think it was from Toto Wolff. I won't read the actual words I've written here, but he said, sometimes we're too nostalgic about the good old years. The product is good in itself. Okay. My issue here is what he's failing to understand from my point of view is, and from a lot of fans' point of view, is this isn't about yearning for the rose-tinted good old days when men were men. This is about how detrimental these rules can or are being to qualifying, and how, as some drivers have put it, the rules in their current guise are anti-racing. They could work with tweaks, but they aren't working well enough right now. That's kind of ultimately my point. And some of those drivers complaining weren't racing or even alive during the perceived good old days, so they're not being swayed by that notion. They just simply don't like the cars as they are. So my answer to that is fix it. I will let you come in, Jonty, but I'm on one now. But the team boss of the current dominant manufacturer team and his drivers, of course, are always going to say the product is good, because if it changes to something else, their advantage could and likely will disappear. But as a fan of more than 3 decades, I'm kind of getting a little bit sick of F1 and team bosses and manufacturers talking down to fans like me, long-term fans, and saying we just moan for moaning's sake. And my response to that would be, no, pal. We could just see that the drivers are not happy, the rules aren't working as we want them to, and we want to see changes, whatever they are, to improve it and to keep the sport that we ultimately all love alive. And when all the fair weather fans have fucked off, you'll still have your diehard fans like me, like Jonty, for what that's worth. But when we fuck off, you're in big trouble. So V8's cool, V10's awesome. But the most important thing is quite simply this. If you're sticking with these rules, which they look like they're going to, then make them work. Get quality back to what it should be and make the races less about passing because, the car ahead has run out of power, I'll breeze past halfway down the straight with ease, and more about drivers having to work for an overtake. The passing could be, you could make overtaking easier, but make it so that it's more authentic, or drivers are working for it rather than just cruising past because the battery's gone dead. The cars look great, by the way, absolutely great, and seeing the drivers having to fight them through some of the corners that a year ago were a piece of piss, actually seeing them having to fight them is fantastic to watch. I want to see more of that. They just need to fix the bits around it. So when I find myself saying things like, the previous iteration, the old V6 turbo hybrids with the MGUH were better than these current 2026 regs, then the 2026 regs aren't working as they should, and it's not really any more than that. But to counter my own argument there, the 2025 engine regulations were after 11 or 12 years of development. These are in year 1. So give them time. They might work. But that's ultimately it. It's not that I hate these regulations. They're just not working how I want them to work. And I'm really intrigued to see how they evolve over the next 6 months, year, whatever. But I can't fully get behind them in their current iteration. And I just hope that these meetings come up with workable solutions that improve on what we have at the moment. So again, to Latox a little bit or anybody else, I'm not saying I hate these rules. I'm completely against them. I just don't think they're working as they are now. And F1 and the FIA need to fix them, because I don't want us... If we go back to last year's engines, we get heavier, wider, clunkier cars again, and they'll all be nice and easy to drive. I want the small cars, smaller cars, they're not small, that look great, move around, drivers are fighting it with regulations at work, and great qualifying. That's it. That was it. I've got a bullet points and somehow turned every bullet point into a 3-minute sentence, but there you go. They're the points I wanted to make. Just to be clear, I don't want people thinking that I'm saying these are the best rules ever, and I don't want you thinking that me saying they're dreadful. We're stuck with them. They've got to make them work. Let's hope they can. That's kind of my view on these meetings. But Jonty, you had a point 25 minutes ago you wanted to make, didn't you?
We need a chess club. Yeah,
I need a drink. That's better.
Yeah. I've honestly forgotten the start of your rant.
Do you want me to go back to the first bullet point? First bullet point was Toto Wolff's. Sometimes we're too nostalgic about the good old years. The product is good in itself. That's what Wolff said.
Yeah.
That's his quote.
Yeah. I should have made the joke of, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, go, and then I go through the whole bloody thing again.
Yeah. There is a big issue with optics, I think, at the moment. A really big issue with optics, how everything appears, and even how the problems appear, because it all looks worse than it is. It makes a lot of things, I mean, they're not great, but take 130R as an example, with everyone screaming about seeing the revs going down, the speed going down. You know they're faster through the apex, right?
You upset people with this the other week, didn't you?
Yeah, because it's things that people don't want to hear. And this is all how it looks from the way it's being portrayed in the media. Certain media outlets making a hell of an effort to make it look even worse. Race
fans.
But no, it's a fact. It's a solid fact. At the Japanese Grand Prix, they were faster at the apex than last year. It's not a good thing. It's probably why it looks so much worse and sounds so much worse. Yeah, they are going slower by the time they get to the chicane. But at the apex, they are quicker. Which I think makes it hurt even more for all the people watching. Because you have faster cars, at certain points, and you're hearing,
yeah.
Even though it's a small V6, and said before, V6 worst engine tone that there is, it still needs to be screaming when they're at the fast points. I mean, if things don't change enough, Spa's going to be hell. Spa's going to be horrible.
Baku, if we go.
Think about Baku. Yeah, I mean, for example, Spa, you think about the layout of that track. They're going to be out of battery just going up the hill to Radion, I think. And then they will super clip for 300 yards of the Camel Straight and then have some battery again and speed up again. And they literally will. That's going to be absolutely awful. So they really have got to change it. And I'm stuck on the fact that so many people mix things up. Like when they go on, you got all these people who keep going about it being artificial. F1's always been artificial. From race 1, the racing has been artificial to some degree. This is not an opinion. This is a solid fact. Again, in the first race, you had 1.6 litre inline fours racing against 4.5 litre V12s. Now, yes, the weight made a massive difference at the time because the V12 engine weighed more than the car with a small engine. So it did kind of balance out, but it's still artificial. And I hate it when people use those arguments. Because it's always been. Always. I'm sure we've done it before where you're listing off how many different things going backwards through the regulations. DRS, or the energy recovery that we've had, for 15 years, 14 years. No, batteries came in 2014, 12 years.
Well,
DRS going back to 2009,
so...
Yeah, DRS going back to 2011. KERS, you've got refueling before that. All of the tyre wars going on forever. Cars that explode if you press the throttle for more than 1/10 of a second.
Not being allowed to
80s.
change tyres in your pit stop.
Yeah, that's still the stupidest thing they've ever done, I think. I genuinely can't think of anything dumber than that.
I'll read some of your comments in a second,
because,
to get them in.
And it's because people love their drivers, they love the cars, and they want to see the best drivers going like a bat out of hell in the best cars in the Premier Motorsport Series. But it's always been about the cars. So much more about the cars than the drivers. The drivers are just the face for it. For the actual racing, it's the cars. And it's just the way things look from every angle, qualifying, during the race, what the media says, what we view. It always looks like it's an exciting fight, and it's always the cars. Which is why these regs are having such a big hit and a big negative impact. And I'm rambling. I'm trying to get the point across.
I know you are.
It was your rant.
I'm sorry.
Confused me.
I'm sorry, but that's what people are here for. I swear. They'll tell us. They'll soon tell us if they're not. But
how can it be an opinion, Kevin? A 1.6 litre inline four-cylinder engine versus a 4.5 litre V12. It's not even. It's not balanced. The weight does balance it out, but it's still an artificial difference. And don't get me wrong, artificial things can work. I love endurance racing, and it's the most artificial that there can be in motorsport. Balance of performance, where they literally change things, change power levels, how much downforce, weight, and fuel flow, and everything for these cars to make them perform evenly. And the racing is absolutely phenomenal. it doesn't have to be a bad thing. But people who just label it artificial, fake racing, it just winds me up. Say what it actually is.
It looks like we're in one of those moods this evening. Clearly. I do just want a couple of things before we get to your comments about that, because I was sort of mid-conversation with it. So just on the hat brush, just a couple of points from the hat brush. Just, first of all, to be clear, I mean, it says, I'm not saying you're wrong about these regs, but know yourself, saying that people have a steady history of moaning for moaning's sake. You're absolutely right. First of all, I do know myself, is the first point. I get what you're saying. But I agree. We moan for the new, most recently, the new logo, the Pirates of the Caribbean style bloody music intro. Yeah, I couldn't imagine F1 without that song anymore. So yeah, there is an element of moaning for moaning's sake, but this isn't that.
Still hate the logo.
What I'm saying is that it's not moaning for moaning's sake in this instance, because there's potential there. I just want them to get it right. And also on your world peace point, you're absolutely right. What I want really doesn't matter, and there are a million things I want. So the chances are FIA won't actually do what I want, but that's what, you're on my channel. I'm giving you my view of what I want to see happen, so that's why I've gone to that. But you're right, there's a million and one things I'd like to see, and the chances of actually doing the things that I've said there that I want to see in some cases are quite slim, but we'll see. But don't forget they've got other bots telling them. So
it ultimately started on YouTube to complain.
Yeah, well, I think
basically
my first video was a review of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which broke into me having a go at Sebastian Vettel for what he did under the safety car. Then there was the Halo that was announced a couple of weeks later, so I ranted about that. Then there was the track limits at COTA, which sent me mad in 2017 because it was so ridiculously inconsistent, and I just went nuts about it for 20 minutes. And that's kind of the point. So yeah, I'm back to that now.
Yeah, well, that was the one that gave you your first big boost, I think, the track limits at
100k.
COTA.
Yeah, first one's 100k. That was fun to watch. Watching the numbers, I'm like, is this my channel? What is happening? Back in the early days. So that's kind of what this is now. This is early days F1 word, but with slightly less janky graphics, but still quite janky. So, but I'm face cam now, which is a huge bonus. But yeah, I'm kind of done with the trying to please people, so I'll say what I need to say, and that's where we're at. But I think, is that an age thing as well, Jonty, do you think? Maybe?
Oh yeah,
hit
definitely.
That point.
You do get to a point when you're just like, oh shit.
Let's take your comments on this point then, and then we will. I've got some questions to run through. Then we'll do your Q&A as well. So, read some of your comments on this without. I'll try and avoid. The hat process cheese rolling isn't a sport. It bloody is. I'm counting it as a sport. Combat jug is a niche sport, says Alfie.
I've heard of that.
I'm trying to find. Watch the first race. I think it's worse than I expected. It's a mountain of donkey dung, says Kevin. He's got such a way with words, as Kev. I'm going to start writing these in birthday cards. Surely a small following among the general population is exactly what makes a sport niche, says Warner's End. Don't see your rant, he says Letox. I wanted to have a discussion and got it. Limited it is with the chat and one is talking. Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? Also difficult to assess tone, which is why I wasn't sure what you were getting at initially, Latox, but I'm with you now. So Max should get to the chopper straight to Le Mans now, says CPB. Hey mate, hope you well. Flying Tiger says it must be miserable as a driver to bury the throttle and get less power. No brap, just bog equals misery. Bravery, commitment for the driver is what's been taken away. The chassis are wonderful though, I agree with that. Jimmer, hey Jimmer, says I'm hopeful that these are just teething problems with the new technology. Remember all the fiddling with quali format, now it's the best it's ever been. It'll be tweaked and we'll be happy. Yeah, I think they'll get there with it. Like I say, the regulations last year are after 11, 12 years of development, so
there's a good point there that just highlights how the FIA are very bad at taking the simplest solution to fix a problem. Remember knockout qualifying?
Oh, don't. It always comes up.
Yeah. Yes, but it could have worked. It could have been absolutely fantastic. All it had to be was that you have to be on a lap when the time ends. It's basically the same as it is now. You have to be already on a lap when the checker drops. But in that scenario, everyone needs to be out there all the time. They can't just sit there and go, oh, that time's good enough. Because they never know what's going to happen. because it's constantly going someone every couple of minutes. You've got to stay out there just in case. It really could have been absolutely fantastic, and they blew it by not seeing the very, very obvious solution that I saw thousands of people on Twitter saying, just do this.
Yeah. But I'd still prefer not to have had it.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the point I was trying to make earlier, is that I don't trust them to not make it worse. That's the thing. Of all the really good options they've got, they've always invariably picked the crappiest one.
I just say I've lost the comment now. Okay, keeps refreshing. Warner's End says, I don't think there's any such thing as artificial racing. It's always about using the tools at the driver's disposal, as long as they're all racing to the same rule set. Neelish says DRS is literally a go faster for free button. With the current rules, you just have a go faster button which isn't free. That's what we're complaining about with it so artificial. Yeah, but I get that, but the balance is wrong. It's not. This is what I'm saying about tweaking. The numbers aren't working. With the boost, and I think it should be completely driver deployed, like a push to pass button as well, like the old KERS. That's what it should be. If you use it all up in the first half of the lap and you've got nothing left for the rest of the lap, tough shit. But it should be completely driver deployed and not decided by computer. But I also know a little bit like AI full stop, that horse has already bolted, so probably going to get stuck with that in a form. Hatprust says, been here practically from the start, but I think there is a bit of stepping back that we could all do. Love your support as always, mate. Love a good debate. But I mean, I thought I had stepped back a bit. Maybe I haven't stepped back enough. I thought I'd done that with my rant, but then I also forget what most of the bullet points were in the end and who I am. So who are you? What's happening? Planet F1 shackles have been released. Oh, hell yes. No more making stuff I don't want to make. Look, Fly Tiger's laughing, says Pirates of the Caribbean. That's the first thing that came to mind when I first heard the da-da-da-da-da-da.
So many people said that online. Loads of people said that online. But I love it now. I still hate the logo.
The old one was clever, that's why.
Design it yourself, don't steal it.
Yeah.
Design it yourself, don't steal it.
Yeah, William's story.
They literally had to settle out of court. Come on.
Let's do some Q&A then. Get your questions in chat. I'm going to read the 4 questions that came up in the community post that I put out first. Quite a long one. I'm going to read this one first because it's from Peter at Spadsy. It says, I'm in Australia and love listening to the live streams, however, always on a delay. I've never had a chance to ask a question, and I've been meaning to ask you this for years. So here goes. Brace yourself. It's going to be good. In the 2014-2020 period, Horner and Newey claimed that the Red Bull was the best chassis on the grid, but was held back by a subpar PU. Given what we saw from Red Bull between 2021 to 2025, do you guys believe that statement? Yes, I do. Because that Renault wasn't the most powerful on the grid and it was quite unreliable. So I think had that Red Bull had a Mercedes engine in the back of it, I think they probably would have been challenging for titles in that period with a newly designed car with everyone behind them. I'm not saying winning them. Mercedes were fucking beasts in that time, weren't they? But I think you give them an engine that isn't doing a Renault on them constantly. But I think the problem with that one, though, having said that, Peter, is that a lot of it, you're not going to have a great working relationship with somebody you're slagging off all the time. But Horner and Cyril Abiteboul hated each other in the end, so that was never going to be a good working relationship. So I'm not going to say, maybe not the best chassis on the grid, but I think with a better power unit, Danny Rick and Max Verstappen as your drivers, you'd have been challenging.
What year did you start that from?
2014 to 2020.
It's hard not to think that if they had that Mercedes engine in from, in 2014, that'll does probably 6 in a row.
Did we have engine parity at that point? Because CPB says Mercedes would have made sure their engine wasn't as good as theirs. When did engine parity come in? Because that's a good point. Because if that was a few years into that, someone might know in chat. That's a very good point.
That might have been part of the 2017.
Yeah, could have been.
Change. That would make sense.
So maybe 17 to 20. Maybe not the first couple of years. I mean, Mercedes were unstoppable, weren't they? 14 to 16, really.
Yeah, but we say would there have been engine parity, and yet look at Williams.
Yeah, true.
14,
true.
15.
Yeah.
Rocket ships on tracks with straights. As soon as there was a corner, they were stuffed.
Front row lockout in Austria, didn't they, in 2014? Was it Austria?
Yeah. Yeah, which has 7 corners.
I mean, let us know in chat. Do you think Red Bull would have been... Do you believe that Horner and Newey's claim that Red Bull had the best chassis 2014 to 2020 was held back by a subpar PU? CP's McLaren wasn't great in 2014. Yeah. That's a good point. But also, they did get a podium with K-Mag on his debut. I'm still not quite sure to this day, Jonty, that start in Australia, how K-Mag didn't stuff that into a wall or another car. That was a heck of a save.
Yeah.
Rookie K-Mag as well. Red Raven, I think he's been in chat tonight, but I'll read your question from the thingamabob, the community post. Says, I know I am asking far too early, but which is the driver most under pressure? My pick is Colapinto. 1 to 15 points versus Gasly is very superficial, of course, but I don't trust the Alpine leadership. Ocon maybe, but I'd argue is close enough to Behrman, and their points gap mostly not his own fault and needed if Haas loses Behrman. Great point now, actually. If Behrman does end up at Ferrari in a year or two, then actually they do need someone like an Ocon, don't they? But driver most under pressure... If his dad didn't own the team, I'd say Lance Stroll. Not as a cop-out, but I think he's not been great, has he? But that car's terrible, so I'll let him off this year a little bit. But I think you make a good point on Colapinto. I think that a similar question came up after the Japan race. Who's most likely to get dropped before the end of the season? I think Colapinto, and not necessarily because of his start of the season, but because you can't trust Flav. He's replacing Marco at the top of that list now of team principals or team members who are more likely to sling a driver out for apparently no reason. I mean, any Argentines listening will probably hop in now to let me know that the only reason Colapinto's so far behind is because he's getting a different car to Gasly, which is such bullshit. Gasly is just that good. But I think under pressure, what do you reckon, Jonty? Thinking about the start of the season, drivers under pressure. It's not Hadjar. He's had a good start.
Oh, it's 100% Colapinto, purely for the reasons given. Flav.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Kevin says, can't trust Flav. Where does that come from? Makes me think. Yeah. It's one to maybe ponder, actually, for another stream. Maybe that could be the lead of the stream before Miami. We'll see. But like I said, it's a little bit early to be saying, but I think you're possibly right on Colapinto, though. I'm just trying to think of who's had a shocker. I don't think anybody's... Let me pull up the championship, actually, and I'll tell you who's had a shocker.
There could be something in saying Albon, but then it's very hard to judge with that car.
Yeah.
Carlos does seem to be doing a lot more with it.
But he's not...
I don't think it's sort of at risk.
He's not that far ahead, though, is he? I mean, this time last year, Albon was scoring points for fun and Sainz was really struggling, so...
yeah, and then they just swapped for the end of the year.
Ocon is a good shout when you consider he has 1 point and Behrman has 17. I know there are reasons behind that, but he does need to make sure that even if there are issues with Haas or whatever, that he is at least maximising what he can, otherwise he will come under pressure. It's a good question, but I think you're right, it's a bit too early to really judge that one, Red Raven, but appreciate the question. Lucas says, one topic is the rumoured ADUO to outperform with some engines, also the Audi team principal situation. I did do a little Google before I went live. Binotto apparently said they won't be replacing Wheatley, so that's the official line, and it's one of those watch this space situations, which I know is a boring answer, but that's the reality at the moment. It could change. It could all change in no time at all. On the ADUO, that was supposed to come in from Miami, which would have been race 6. The regulations state that the power unit performance checks will take place every 6 races. with the ultimate goal to give manufacturers who are trailing a chance to close the gap during the season itself. The FIA are apparently in this meeting tomorrow and these other meetings discussing bringing that forward because of the Bahrain and Saudi cancellations. Because if no change is made, the 6th race mark would be Canada. Oh, no, yeah. No, Monaco, yeah. No, Monaco, you're right. Yeah, Monaco. So June, which is a bit late then, isn't it? You're at the halfway point of the year, not the season. That's a lot of races to squeeze in, isn't it? But yes, I think they are going to look at that. That is in the list of things that they want to look at in this meeting, and I suspect they might change the wording to be Miami. The problem we've got is how they're going to judge this, because Red Bull's big problem seems to be the weight of the car, and it's believed they have the best power unit behind Mercedes, as mad as that sounds. So there's an argument they won't get any help. Ferrari think they're far enough behind, but Mercedes don't think Ferrari are far enough behind, so that's going to get messy. It could be a case of Honda, Audi, and... Although Audi aren't bad, you've said that, Jonty. Audi have had a cracking start, all things considered. So maybe they won't see them as needing some help, but...
Here we go.
He's had an idea.
What if in this meeting they agree to bring it forward by 1 race?
Canada.
So which teams do you see sacrificing Miami on purpose?
I mean, Aston Martin may as well sacrifice the entire season so far. It's a good point. Yeah, no, that's fair.
I think 100% the kind of thing that you could see Red Bull or Ferrari doing.
Turn the engine down. Oh, look how slow we are. How poor. Oh, God, we're so bad. Psych. Yeah, interesting. Yes, that is just something to bear in mind. That's another thing for the meeting that might get decided. I don't know if they need to bring it forward. It's not something I'm really too fussed about, but...
Yeah. No, they definitely need to bring it forward. They 100% need to bring it forward. You know why?
For fun?
Because the race when it comes in would be Monaco.
Oh, God.
The absolute worst case scenario to have any kind of comparison to how they're performing.
Monaco's going to be so interesting this year. Full stop. So, yeah, an extra element there, I guess. I don't know. But and Jack, by the way, Shadow Macker, Jack Chambers, with his toothbrush in his pants. If you know, you know.
What the hell's he been?
He says, I have a moan for you to discuss. The massive rise in AI-generated nonsensical articles that are obviously made up and inflammatory, often including Max Verstappen. I'm seeing like 3 a day now. Yeah, throw YouTube channels in there as well for the AI slot that's being thrown. Not anyone meaningful, let's put it that way, but the daily news F1 channels that take a quote from somebody where they say, I think Max Verstappen was at fault, and then you get, such and such slams Max Verstappen, and they get 200,000 views and loads of dislikes because people realise they've been clickbaited again. Yeah, AI.
I could say something.
Go on.
So tempted to say something, but it could cause you aggro.
It won't cause me any aggro. I know what you're thinking. So you
say
they're
not AI. They're written by Oliver Harden.
There you go. I have a moan. I've already said I have a moan for you to discuss, so it is a bit of a moan. I think my biggest thing is like just generally. It's not really anything to say. I think Jack is right. It's nonsensical articles, nonsensical videos. And have you noticed how a lot of the news channels,
there is a lot,
and there are a lot, they all use pretty much the same thumbnail template. Like they're all very similar. And it's just a bit like, you're just using AI, and it's, if that's what you want to do, fine, but no.
When it's much better to watch, I mean, a lot of people like to have tons and tons of stuff on the screen, and they like to have, footage of the cars and this, that, and the other. But a lot of people do prefer a conversational type of layout.
Yeah.
Like, just find those channels. The other ones will die eventually.
I'm just doing a poll because Hatprus has had a good one.
Watch yours. Go watch Crash Happy as well. Dan No Skull. Do you know Dan No Skull? There's a lot of stuff aimed at, I would say, younger viewers, but he makes a lot of good points. There was one today, and a very interesting point he pulled up the other week when he did some digging. The comments with these rigs about, confusing the engine. You go full throttle too much. like I think Charles had in qualifying at some point. Like he went full throttle a bit early and the engine got confused and then he didn't have enough power for the rest of it. I think that was in China.
So I was doing about it. Jonty, yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's been one of the issues, sort of, because there's so much going on with how the deployment works. If they just get a little bit of wheel spin coming out of a corner, it's too much, and then throws the engine mapping out of whack and whatnot.
Might have been
that
China,
happened 10 years ago. That happened 10 years ago. Fernando Alonso went around Puon, full throttle, flat out, and it confused his car, and he ended up about 4/10 slower. He didn't have the right power for the rest of the lap. So it's not new. I do appreciate it when people dig stuff like that.
Obviously, we're not going to get into global politics, although it is nice that we're alive for at least another 24 hours. I'll say that. But Hatpril said, how many races we get this season, make it a poll. I could have made the poll better, but I've gone 22, which is what we're at the moment, 21, 20, or less than 20. The race at risk, even though it is only April, the race at risk, looking at that area in that region now, you're looking at Baku, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi if nothing really changes in the interim. So right now, those three are at risk. So you'd be looking at, what's that, 19? But I think we'll probably end up with somehow 22, because they could always, if things were to calm down, they might try and squeeze a Bahrain, as CPB saying, a Bahrain in somewhere if they needed to, if one of them got cancelled or whatever. So I think we will still end up around 20 to 22. So I'll say 21. How's that for you? Right in the middle of between 20 and 22.
Yeah, maybe.
Jonty's like 6, if you're lucky. I mean, Kevin makes a point. Well, they could add a race in Europe, yeah, because don't forget, as I said last Sunday, the statement from the FIA does not say Bahrain and Saudi Arabia cancelled. It said will not take place in April, and there will be no F1 in April. That doesn't mean we can't have Imola in August or an equivalent. So yeah.
And of those two that are currently not happening, Saudi's the most likely to be squeezed in, I think. Just because it's that much further away. It's like an extra 600-700 miles the other, some ridiculous distance.
And Jeddah's right on the coast of the Red
Sea. Yeah, the coast of the Red Sea, whereas Bahrain is in the Persian Gulf.
Oh, God, yeah, no. CPB says I don't really want a Las Vegas finale. Oh, God, no.
That's the possibility of if AD doesn't go ahead.
I'll make it.
I'll take a Las Vegas finale over an Abu Dhabi finale.
I'd take a Brazil finale over all of them. But
yeah, true. Oh, there is something good that's come from this, though. Not officially announced yet, but seems pretty much set in stone that to make up for some of the lost rounds, F2 will start in Canada.
Oh, bloody hell.
F2 in Canada.
Chaos.
That'll be good.
2011. F1 style.
That'll be amazing.
MSC Bar says, please no additional races later in the year. It'll bore me out even more than the current weirdness does. Fair enough. Madrid is definitely getting cancelled as well, says Maury. I think Maury said before there's some question marks around Madrid, but last I read they were on track to be ready.
It depends if they're finished building it.
Yeah. We'll see. I do suspect that's why Barcelona stayed on. They got another deal, because if Madrid ultimately fails or can't happen for a year or two, then you want to race in Spain, don't you? So, yeah. Flying Tiger says, bring back Hockenheim. Okay, I'll have a seat now. There you go. I don't know, Neil, if we've had in Madrid.
Bring back old Hockenheim.
With these rules? Are you nuts?
It is one of the things that I do kind of like from the, bring this back sort of crowd. I would have old Hockenheim back in a second. Because it had a special noise. So I know it's going to sound weird. Yes, the cars are different, but it would still have the same effect now because it was through those corridors of trees. the way the sound reverberated was just unique. It was something special. Just lost curve.
But I do think new, it's like 20 years old, but new Hockenheim works better for racing than old Hockenheim.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So, depends what you want, I guess.
It's really decent track. I'm still shocked it kind of got dropped when you had two rain assisted, but two absolutely god tier races in a row. Bye. What are you doing?
Is that 2019?
18 and 19.
18 and 19. One of those years where it peed it down at the podium cemetery.
Yeah, that was 18. Shut up.
Let's go back a few years. Just a few. Yeah. Racing Spa in the other direction,
I mean,
says Kevin.
IndyCar had the same thing a few years ago. I think it was 22 or 23. They had the oval race at Texas Motor Speedway, and it was like the best oval race anyone's seen for like 7 years. And then the next year it was off the calendar. Like, why? What are you doing? Can't race Spa in the other direction, unfortunately.
I think CPB missed it earlier because he says, once upon a time I had an epic prophecy of Max joining Audi and forming a new dynasty. Now that Merc is off the table and Aston are dog shit, could this be more plausible now? Jonty, you've already said it.
You must have joined late. That was my wild card left field suggestion of where he could go if there was another team in the offing. I don't think it's completely unreasonable. I really don't.
On Audi, actually, because Neelish says about Binotto, says Binotto being forced into being team principal against his will, part 2, laughing my ass off. It is weird, isn't it? That's happened twice to the same guy. He kind of doesn't want to be team principal, gets forced into it. But do you? Because again, that line from Binotto is they're not looking to replace Wheatley. We've got to be careful because that's very cleverly worded. We're not looking to replace Wheatley. Doesn't mean they won't promote somebody from within to take the team principal role.
Yeah, exactly.
But do you think Binotto will stay as team principal, or are you fully expecting somebody else to come in and take that job? If not tomorrow, then in the next few weeks and months. Because Binotto, I quite liked him at Ferrari because he did kind of go against the grain because he sort of was more open with the media, but it didn't really work, did it?
I mean, it's we don't know the full degree of what went on behind closed doors, but it really did feel like he was working miracles as technical director and then shat the bed when he became team principal. It looks like that's his key thing.
He's a great engineer, isn't he?
He should stay. Yeah, he's a fantastic engineer. So he really should stay in that role for the good of what they're doing. Although, if various reports are to be believed, then he always wanted to be team principal.
Point to prove?
Oh, possibly. A lot less pressure.
The thing is, though, Ferrari get through team principals like Man United get through managers. I could say Man United now. It used to be Chelsea to say that for, but now it's United. But just fly through. Or Tottenham at the minute, is it? Tottenham had about 17 managers this year. Still going to go down. But I don't want to get into it today. This is definitely a conversation for another stream. But, all these team principles they go through, all the changes they make, same problems. Maybe it's time to start addressing those that haven't changed. Because clearly somebody or some group somewhere is not doing the job they should be doing. Or it's just Ferrari just going to forever Ferrari. Interested America says Max Verstappen is definitely gone from F1 after this year. He has no interest in racing F1 when he's forced to slow down to charge a battery. That's not racing. To Max, Lucas says that Hockenheim got dropped because of money. And Neelish
absolutely.
says the race thinks a lot of Audi's pace deficit is from the engine, actually, and not just the race starts, if I remember correctly. Might have a look for that later, mate. I don't read every article on the race, just I pick a topic from a video and then go and look for info on it, which sometimes doesn't work because sometimes I've made something up in my head and like, oh, this is a big issue, and it's not. F1 is a joke, and Max has every right to find something better, says, is it Detmer or Dietmar? And I saw what's Baku in like December, says Neelish. It's September this year is Baku, isn't it? In a weird sort of way. It comes
How many different months has that race been in?
every month. Well, it used to be about like the fourth race of the season, didn't it?
Yeah, it's been in April, then it went a bit later and was, I think, in May. Then we've had it in September and possibly a bit later in October.
Had it in July as well, because that was the first video on the old channel. So that was, so that was, or was it June? It was one of the two.
Decide where you want it, goddammit.
But that falls after Madrid. Oh, God. Imagine Madrid's not ready. We get another gap on the calendar. Christ. But that's after Madrid and before Singapore. And it's that gap. I'm going to keep saying it. It's that gap between Azerbaijan and Singapore, 2 weeks, where if the world all calms the fuck down and remembers that, you know, it's not all about you, you could slot a Bahrain or a Saudi in there very nicely. It would make a triple header, and which is hilarious, by the way, because you always get, oh yeah, but you can't have a triple header. F1 will go, oh, teams don't like triple headers. Okay, so Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, is that not a triple header?
Yeah.
Or how about, you know, Cota, Mexico, Brazil? That's a triple header. You know, they're happening.
It's kind of on the way, isn't it?
Yeah, you sort of do it.
It's the kind of flight path where I would imagine they would usually do a stopover in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai or Abu Dhabi anyway, since that happens to the most flights going out to Singapore.
You could, this is a crazy idea, I guess, but you could, if you wanted to get back up to 24 races, and this is just dreamland, I know, you could slot Bahrain after Baku, have a race around the outer loop on the Saturday, and then a Grand Prix around the normal track on Sunday. You could even do it as a sprint if you really wanted to. I'd love to see that outer loop one more time. That was a lot of fun. Not gonna. I know that Bahrain, Saudi, highly likely to be completely cancelled. We'll see you next year if we're lucky, or if you're lucky. I'm not too fussed either way. But I think while they're still possibly going to get rescheduled, I think it's right to point out where they could go, but I fully expect full cancellation before the summer break, to be honest. We'll see. We'll see.
So do I.
Might change.
And in Interested American, 100% agree. I absolutely hate that they've moved Monaco. It was motorsport holiday.
You came for the
That
weekend.
big Sunday. Yeah. Yeah, and like I came to yours for that weekend, but I also go around to my mate's house, and we've done that many years, where we watch Monaco, we have a few beers, we play a few games, and we watch the 500, and it's all gone. Although it is nice to learn that they're probably not going to overlap, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I would also come home and watch the Coast 600, but I don't think Sean's interested.
No. Kevin says, "Who's
you
going?"
should be. You should.
I'm getting told off now.
I'm not a massive NASCAR fan, and I know a lot of people aren't oval fans. But I mean, there are some I don't watch either. I vigorously hate certain tracks. But the super speedways like Talladega, Daytona, the way the strategic drafting works, it's fantastic to watch. It really is. Especially when you see the onboards and they're shifting around all over the place. It's terrifying.
First of all, I love that Lola's just sat there.
Yeah, she's been there for ages.
Now.
Only like two people have noticed so far.
I'm like, can anyone else see that cat, or is it just me? But I wasn't interested in NASCAR until I found out last week that Frankie Muniz races in NASCAR. Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, he's an ARCA.
Is that not the same thing? Or
it's like a support. It's like a sports series.
But yeah, but I was kind of like, wow, that's a career change.
Yeah, he's been doing that for years.
I wouldn't.
He's not the best, but he's entertaining.
I wouldn't want to be his team though. Contract renewal comes up. Do you like this? Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. A bit indecisive, but anyway, that's one for 90s kids, I guess.
Yeah, and every now and then you'll get just guest drivers turning up. A couple of years ago at COTA, Jenson Button.
Yeah.
And this year, I think it was St. Petersburg this year, in the truck series was there, Craftsman Truck Series, and Dario Franchitti joined in again. It was fantastic to see him back behind the wheel of a car. Missed watching him. One of my all-time favourite drivers, I think.
What's the overlap for Indy? Because Interest in America says a Canada F1 race on Indy 500 weekend will clash because they will be held close to the same time for massive overlap. I think from a grandstand perspective, fans at the track, most are surely going to be at Indy. But
there is a potential for overlap, but Indy starts quarter to six. Quarter to six? Yeah, quarter to six.
Okay.
Canada starts at 9. This is British time. So 5:45, Indy 500 starts, and 9 p.m. Canadian Grand Prix starts. So unless there's a lot of caution, even some red, 500 should be finished. Should.
Interesting,
but not guarantee.
Because when it was first announced they moved Canada to that date, we were quite pissed at them. But they must have taken the Indy 500 on board because the race usually starts about 7 p.m. and they've pushed it back 2 hours to 9 p.m. So they must have at least seen that was going to be an issue, which is good to see, because I get a little bit bored of the IndyCar taking shots at F1 and vice versa when actually, you're all part of the same. Because we call F1 a sport, but F1's a series and IndyCar's a series. They're all motorsport, aren't they? So it'd be nice if there would be a bit less. Oh, some of it gets quite funny. Their post after, was it IndyCar's post after, was it China? And we're like, oh, you'll get no super clipping over here, just real racing. Lol. That was on Twitter. You don't use Twitter anymore, do you? You've got sense, but I have to for my XPB posts, otherwise I will be off there in a heartbeat. Although I have deleted the apps from my phone, you'll be pleased to hear, chap, because I'm done with it.
So use the good one just for the fun, not for ranting about F1. Just join in, have a laugh. See the shit I've been painting.
Yeah, but people. No, I've seen your models. Your Braun livery one. I love that one. And I'm looking forward to your Jordan 191 livery.
Yeah, that's in the works.
NASCAR creates the gimmicks to potentially help them compete with NFL football in the fall. Yeah, I remember Elizabeth did something on gimmicks for NASCAR.
Enjoy what happens on the track. Ignore the scoring system. It is the dumbest scoring system in all of motorsport ever. Because there's been several times in the last few years, or at least in this playoff system, where the driver with the most points at the end of the season doesn't win the title. No, stupid.
A playoff system. Oh, God.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, God, it's ridiculous. It's so stupid. And it's a knockout playoff system. They have like 5 or 6 races of this. It's so stupid.
Neelish says, if Monaco isn't in May anymore, will FP1 still be on a Thursday? I don't think FP1's been on a Thursday for a few years now, Neelish. I think they stopped that.
Yeah, they stopped that.
Maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Because they negotiated a new deal, didn't they? And they got rid of the TV direction as well, so that the FOM could take it back because it was, well...
What's happened? We need to know.
Vettel and Gasly up the hill. Oh... Side by side.
All-time classic moment, just Stroll's face in the screen.
The only thing that happened all race was
it literally
that pit
was.
exit. Gasly and Vettel side by side up the hill, and it cuts to Stroll going a little bit wide and across the chicane. You're like, what the f*** are you doing? And FOM clearly were like, nah, we're not doing this anymore. So,
that is a fair point. It's one rain delay away from overlapping.
True. Does it rain much that time of year in Indy? I don't know. I don't follow it closely enough. Yeah. We've done the gimmick thing. Surprise Lance Stroll, says Zach. Yeah, you've read that one. Jonty's 40k liveries are great, says Jimmer. Any more questions in chat before we wrap up for the evening? Kevin, to say who's going to the Middle East this year? That'll be crazy. I'm going tomorrow, mate, on my holidays. Is there anything I need to look out for? Or no. Too hot. I won't go there anyway. It's way too hot. In a fight, which house robot would Crichton have the best chance in beating? I'm watching Red Dwarf against. That's great timing, Alfie.
Do we have to be mean to him? Do we have to be mean to a robot now?
Sergeant Bash?
Yeah. Because he was just rubbish. About all he could do was grab with the claw at the front and drag them somewhere
and
for
not
one of
set
the
you
others
on
to
fire.
have fun with. Yeah. But, actually, no. Caveat I will make. It depends when you're talking. Because early Matilda, before Razor killed her,
yeah,
was the worst.
With that
chainsaw did literally nothing, and the front flip did literally nothing. Razor literally killed her. Like, do you remember that? The claw through the fuel tank for the chainsaw, and it literally exploded. It was amazing. And then following year came back. Oh, look, she's got a 30-kilogram literal car flywheel or lorry flywheel, and just destroyed anything it touched, and was then probably my favorite.
Do you have a
It's
favorite?
funny how things go like that.
Is that your favorite house robot then, or do you have a favorite?
Oh yeah, late stage Matilda by a mile.
Oh,
I always liked Matilda before, but I just accepted that she was crap.
I like Dead Metal.
Dead Metal's not that great either.
Oh, but I still think it looked cool.
It did look cool, especially with the moving saw.
Yeah.
Which generated a couple of amazing sparks and then stopped like 1 millimeter into anything it touched.
Can we agree that Kill a Lot ruined it, though? Can we agree that Kill a Lot ruined it?
It depends how. No, Kill a Lot used to be fun. I think it was just a bit later on they kind of backed off as the robots got more, as the competitor robots got more and more complex and more expensive. They had to kind of lessen the house robot destruction to try and keep the competitors happy a bit, because some just got absolutely obliterated in early series. Oh, there was Growler as well. If you remember in the late. Shut up, you child. And what was that one with the hammer? That was
Mr. Psycho.
Just yeah, he was. In fact, no, he was the worst. The little dog was awesome. But whenever we talk about Robot Wars, I'll make the same point. Just go watch BattleBots. It's like 1,000,000 times better, even with the annoying sort of Americanized TV coverage. The battles are mental.
Kevin says, I've got to go get food for the family. Thanks for the fun video. No worries, Kevin. Thank you for coming along. I hope you continue to enjoy the season, mate. We're going to wrap up now. But yeah, the poll's done.
Yeah, we're over 2 hours.
How many races we'll get this season? 22, 38% of you think 22, 31% you think 20. I think you're all right in over 20. 21% say less than 20, and 21 is at 10%. So there we go. But yeah, we're going to wrap up there. I didn't realise we were at 9 o'clock, past 9 o'clock, so it's over 2 hours. If the channel does indeed, as expected, go more towards live streams, we do need to cut these down because there'll be more of them. And 2 hours of time, 3 times a week is maybe a bit much, but we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go, but yeah, we'll leave it there, Jonty, mate. Appreciate your company tonight. I know we really enjoy these, so good to chat F1 and Robot Wars, and hopefully not too long till the next stream, and not too long till
I'll tell everyone.
or F1.
Paint toy soldiers, have fun.
Paint toy soldiers, have fun. There you go. There you go.
Very therapeutic.
I'm so crap at signing off when I say bye to people, so thanks, Jonty. I'm sure we'll talk soon, mate. But I'll let you get off and enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll chat to you at some point.
Yeah, because I need a wee. Bye.
Lovely. Cheers, Jonty. Yes, thank you very much to Jonty, and indeed for you guys for joining us this evening. It wasn't a bit longer than I wanted, to be honest, but we are here. So, you know what we do like to have a good waffle. But yes, that's us done for just checking out what I am talking. Yeah, there we go. Now, don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Yeah, there we go. I was just going to say, I've touched on it a couple of times, contemplating whether this should be more of a live stream channel, and then I realized that was a stupid thing because I think I've done 3 videos since January and the rest have all been streams, so it kind of answers that. Also, asking a live stream audience if they want live streams is a bit silly because you're going to say yes in theory. So maybe a conversation for another day, but I'll have a ponder and see where we end up. But I won't be back now till next week. It's going to be one thing a week during this 5-week break. I'm actually busy this weekend. I'm on babysitting duty, which is going to be thrilling. But yes, I will be back next week with another stream or video or video. We'll see how we go. Please do drop a like if you haven't already, and remember to subscribe so you don't miss any future content. Like I say, something every week for the next few weeks, and we're back from Miami with the preview, the qualifying watch along, the race reaction, and then a few weeks till Canada, all the usual stuff. So I appreciate your support. Thank you for your memberships as well, and I don't think I've had any super chats, so nothing that I've missed there, but thank you as always for your continued support. The great thing is, Kaori, I'm babysitting, but I also get to get drunk on Friday night, so you know, bonuses. Not with the kids. The kids aren't coming till Saturday, but yeah. That sounded really terrible. I appreciate that. But anyway, anything else I need to tell you? I don't think that's it, but I appreciate your company. Have a fantastic evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Formula Sean, and until next time, goodbye.